let's shift our attention to what's being called the Toronto West, and it's a Calgary Flames team that has not been performing well lately, and strong words from Matthew Tkachuk earlier in the week. So let's take a listen to that first.
What's the feeling right now in this locker room? I mean, I'm sure they're sensing some frustration, but what is the feeling?
No, it's disgusting. It's bad. It's bad right now. We need to change this around. Maybe going home for one game can do this and spark us going into this road trip. But something's got to change here. We got to get back to the old us and get out of this little funk we have here, because this is not fun.
He said that before the team went back home and then lost another game to the Colorado Avalanche, Jonesy. So concerning comments.
They played better in their next loss, but there's no question that Matthew Tkachuk gets it. He understands how important it is to win with a team like Toronto and Calgary that has great expectations. I would say Calgary's blue line has been better, but they do have some injuries right now. TJ Brody's out, so it's not going to be an easily fixable thing for them right now. But their star players haven't performed to their capabilities and to what they have done in the past. So Bill Peters has a big challenge. He's also from the Mike Babcock tree of coaches. He was an assistant coach with Mike Babcock. I think he's a very good coach, but in Carolina, it didn't work that well for Bill Peters. Rod Brind'Amour came in, and all of a sudden the Carolina Hurricanes, without a ton of changes, are a much improved team. So I would say that there's some pressure on Bill Peters to sort this Calgary Flames team out as well. They have all the elements to be a good team, but they were walked through in the playoffs last year after having a great regular season. Colorado just looked like they were miles ahead of Calgary, even though the entire regular season last year would not have told us that. Now, Colorado has taken a step forward, and they continue to improve, and Calgary's taken a step back. So they've got to fix it fast there. This season will slip away.
What did you think of his comments?
I think he meant to say disgusted, not disgusting. That's the feel in the locker room. I think we'll
give him the benefit of the doubt on that one.
And I think that's how you feel when you lose. And we've both been involved with many losses. I mean, it's part of the job. But there's moments where you're pushed and you got to get up and you got to get going. And it's hurting, and you're struggling personally to try to get your own game going. But at the same time, your personal issues and lack of production can't carry into what everything else is going on around the team. You have to do your part to make sure you help the team get out of it. But they're tough situations, and leadership becomes that much more important, whether it's the coach or it's the captain or it's the core leaders on the team. You got to find a way to get yourself out of that, and there's only one way to do it, and that's win.
Yeah, and a big part of it, too, is, I mean, everybody's human. Everybody starts to feel crappy about themselves because they're losing. But you can't that's the worst thing you can do, is let that creep in. And they know they have a pretty good team, but it's tough. I mean, the coach will stay reset, restart, whatever it is, get rid of all that stuff in the background and now refocus on the next game ahead. But as soon as the soft goal, now that's not just on the goalie. 3 or 4 other things happened before that, and the guys that were involved in it are all going to start to feel crappy about themselves again. It is really tough to get footing when you're in a rut like that.
You try anything as the head coach to try to get it? You can see when the players' heads are dropping.
Yeah.
You can see when the goal goes in and it's like, oh, here we go again. Yeah, what do you do when you're behind the bench watching it?
Shuffling the deck makes a difference. Every time you make a line change, that changes people's attitudes. Changing the style that you play, giving it more, who gives a damn, go for it. Let's get in. I always wanted to be our guys to get more aggressive than, when you see teams that start to go on these streaks and they start to fall back, they hesitate, and he who hesitates is lost. And you can start that with, in practice. You talked about it, throw out, a tennis ball and play with that for a while, have individual games. I mean, we had a stretch where we couldn't win on Saturday afternoons in Boston, and so I get the guys in early, and I gave them to the assistant coaches, and one guy went for pancakes, and one guy went for a walk in the north end. Anything to change the cycle, and it doesn't always work, but right. You got to keep trying. As the coach, you just have to keep trying.
And you can look at any of the teams that are struggling right now, and there's probably 8 or 10 of them in the NHL, and all of the comments will be pretty much the same. I mean, we can't hang our heads. No one else is going to feel sorry for us. We've got to get ourselves up. They all know the answer to it.
Sounds like you've had practice at that.
Yeah, I have. But when it's spiraling out of control, it's a really tough thing. And now they have sports psychologists everywhere. It was a rare thing when I played, and I can't imagine you guys had them when you were playing.
No, we didn't.
But now they have them, and that's the reason why. It's to try to get you mentally refocused and reset. And the best players in the game play great 4 out of 5 nights. The average guys play great twice out of every 5 games. I mean, that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
But when everybody's starting to go the wrong way at the same time, that's when you've got to either have that come together meeting. In the old days, it would be, let's fight. Let's do something to change the momentum. Let's make a difference out there. Whether you got beat up or not, it didn't matter. But that's no longer an avenue that coaches are going to go down. So they have challenges. Calgary has a huge challenge now, and so do the Toronto Maple Leafs. And they're both in markets that have great expectations and great fans that love to watch them go.
You mentioned it earlier, too. Like, they've got their money in Toronto. And most everywhere else, they've got their money.
Yeah.
I've been saying this, and I guess seeing it in some smaller fashion. The time is changing in the NHL. It's always been down to earth, regular guys, but how you come into the locker room making $11 million and, you've lost the games, is that okay? Would the paycheck get there on time?
Mike Milbury, age 22 with $10 million a year. Are you a different, would you be worried about how he would act?
I don't know how people, a guy like Tom Brady, he's the same all the time. He's got plenty of dough. But it takes a different...
Special individual to be that way.
But look where Brady came from, though. He was a backup at Michigan. He was a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
It wasn't all handed to him. And some
that's
guys,
right. That's a good point.
So some guys are getting it. I would not have wanted to coach me with a $10 million a year contract. It would have been a problem.
I wouldn't want to coach you at all.
Yeah. I don't know what I would have been like. I would hope that I would be good, but it would be a problem. It would have been a painful thing to be a head coach.